From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10, live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Amarachi Ubani.
Good evening and welcome tonight. Nigeria's total GDP size is at $510 billion, making it now the largest economy in Africa. The Statistician General of the Federation says Nigeria is measuring better as it has shown that the whole economy structure is changing. Department of State Security breaks up child trafficking syndicate in Akwa Ibom, rescues several children. And a UK ship with sophisticated detection equipment joins search for missing Malaysian plane. But we begin tonight with Nigeria's current GDP, which stands at $510 billion, and that's official. These figures came up today during the rebasing of the nation's economy, an event the Finance Minister, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, describes as not only a historic milestone, but an exercise that will bring about accurate data in the measurement of the nation's development. During the unveiling of the nation's GDP in Abuja, the federal capital city, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala said Nigeria is now the 26th largest economy in the world, ahead of countries like Austria and just behind Argentina.
With a population of almost 170 million people, Nigeria has been growing as a destination for foreign investors owing to the size of its consumer market, increasingly sophisticated capital markets, e-commerce and Nollywood film industry.
Krista, I can't visit you anymore.
With this growing attention, it has become necessary to accurately calculate Nigeria's statistics, including its gross domestic product, GDP. Until now, the GDP estimates had been based on the base year of 1990, which means the current GDP is not being calculated based on the current price of goods and services. But now, using a base year of 2010, Nigeria's GDP has more than doubled.
Nominal GDP in 2010 was revised from 33.9 trillion to 54.2 trillion. We are estimating that it is revised from 42.3 trillion in 2013 to 80.3 trillion, an increase of 89.22% for 2013.
Post-rebasing, Nigeria overtakes South Africa.
Nigeria has moved to be the largest economy by GDP size in Africa, and has moved to be the 26th largest economy in the world, moving 10 positions up. On a per capita basis, Nigeria is number 121 in the world. So we have the total GDP size, where we have moved to 26. We also have the per capita. On a per capita basis, we are about $2,688 per capita.
The figures show an improved but changing economic structure.
This is not an opening for us to go and borrow more. No, we will remain prudent. We are not going to borrow more. We still have to look at things like debt service to revenue. And when you look at debt service to revenue, the picture is not quite as rosy. So we have to be very prudent so we don't spend more and more of our income servicing debt. So I just want to mention that the fact that the number looks better does not change policy.
The right policies are also necessary to achieve a strong economy.
Economic policy can be better and more correctly targeted based on the updated information than it could have been using the outdated information. Equally, this new information is also significant for us as development partners in improving our country diagnostics and sharpening our interventions.
This historic rebasing exercise has shown the strength and weakness of the economy, giving policymakers an idea of where and what to focus on when making decisions. For many, this new status can only be appreciated when it begins to translate into income-earning power of Nigerians. Harriet Agbinyi, Channels Television News.
In the meantime, some prominent Nigerians have been reacting to the National Gross Domestic Product as released by the National Bureau of Statistics. They say the exercise is key in policy making by both the private and public sector of the economy. While the Minister of Information, Mr. Labaran Maku, says the GDP could have done better, save for the incessant insurgency in the land, the acting governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mrs. Sarah Alade, and the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Aruma Ote, believe the new figure will definitely enable policymakers and analysts obtain a more accurate set of statistics to work with. Our correspondent, Chukuma Onekusi, reports.
For over 2 hours, they sat listening to the presentation of the rebased GDP estimate for Nigeria 2010 to 2013. Key point here is that with the new figure of $510 billion GDP, Nigeria now ranks as 26th largest economy in the world, just behind Argentina, Belgium, and Poland, but ahead of Austria, South Africa, Venezuela, and Colombia. This growth is coming amidst security challenges in the land.
If not that we had the unfortunate incidents of this criminality called Boko Haram, I'm sure the story today would even be better. So as we face down crime, and the nation witnesses peace, the GDP growth will increase. The volume of GDP will increase. The Nigerian economy is really moving steadily to come among the 20 largest economy by GDP. We're not 26.
How investors will apply the new figures in their judgment of where best to throw in their money is of paramount importance. Experts say investors must have confidence in the figures. Confidence here made possible by the injection of independent bodies in the data collection.
I think the exercise, the outcome is as important as the process. It was a very transparent process, a process where they brought a lot of independent experts to be involved from the very beginning. And I think data is critical to decision making. It's critical for policymakers, it's critical for investors. So it's very important that getting the data right, making sure you set up the processes such that it's always available to everyone.
Who would have thought that Nollywood and telecommunications will beat the agriculture sector in the new GDP, a lesson that Nigeria should double efforts to grow the other sectors.
If you have an accurate picture, it's better than having it in an estimate kind of environment. So policy making, including monetary policy making, will surely be better. But on the other side, it also gives us it is a challenge in the sense that some of the indicators we had thought we were doing well, we will now have to redouble the effort. And I'll give you an example. Credit to GDP, for instance. The credit to GDP will definitely deteriorate because the base had come down.
The Bureau for Statistics is optimistic that the exercise will now be a regular issue, at least every 5 years, a challenge to both the private and public sector to become more creative in policy making. Chukuma Onekusi, Channels Television News.